Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're hanging out with us today. If you're the kind of person who loves to peel back the layers of complex ideas and really understand what's going on behind the scenes, well, you're in exactly the right place. Okay, let's just dive right into it. Today, we're exploring the completely bizarre, often contradictory, and honestly, utterly fascinating landscape of viral content on the Indian internet. We're going to look at how our digital world just blasts us with a constant stream of information, and why navigating that feed means we're constantly having to process this wild mix of deadly realities, goofy illusions, and straight-up fabricated data. We're going to break down these distinct stories, from devastating weather events to some incredibly clever digital wordplay, to see how information morphs, twists, and totally evolves before it ever actually hits your screen. So, let me ask you something. In the age of the internet, how do you actually spot what's real? I know, it sounds like a totally basic question, but as you'll see today, the answer is incredibly layered and, honestly, a lot of the time it's completely counterintuitive. Our whole theme for this explainer revolves around truth, illusion, and fiction, because sometimes things that look completely fake and seem to defy the actual laws of physics turn out to be a really harrowing reality. And on the flip side, things that look totally legitimate and boringly everyday are actually just a clever trick. And running right beneath all this visual confusion is a deep, murky current of statistical fiction that researchers are literally working around the clock to try and figure out. All right, to get started, we really need to ground ourselves in a heavy, tragic reality. 104. I want you to just take a second to truly process the weight that number carries. Recently, a devastating, incredibly fast-moving pre-monsoon storm system battered several districts right across Uttar Pradesh, and it claimed at least 104 lives in just a matter of hours. You know, when we talk about viral videos or these massive internet trends, it is absolutely crucial that we step back and remember the very real human toll, the communities that are affected, and the raw destruction that actually sparks this digital content in the first place. Now, to understand how this happened, we've got to look at the science behind the devastation, because it's pretty mind-blowing. This wasn't just some freak, isolated thunderstorm. We're talking about a massive, continental-scale clash of weather systems. During the peak pre-monsoon season, you get these baking hot, dry air masses sweeping in from Rajasthan, and they violently crash into cooler, super heavy, moisture-laden winds coming off the Bay of Bengal. And this particular week, an unusually active western disturbance, which originated all the way over the Mediterranean, basically supercharged those converging storms. The result was just catastrophic. Wind speeds instantly shot past 100 kilometers per hour, whipping up blinding dust storms and squalls. Prayagraj was the worst hit area by far, suffering 21 deaths, mostly from collapsing brick walls, ancient uprooted trees, and lethal flying debris. It's a terrifying reminder of just how raw and deadly nature can be. And that brutal reality brilliantly illustrates our next point, which brings us to a specific viral moment that was born directly out of the chaos of that exact same storm. You might have actually seen this headline floating around your feed, "The Flying Man of Bareilly." Right in the middle of all this destruction, a video went absolutely viral. It showed a man grabbing desperately onto a heavy tin shed, and then getting lifted and flung nearly 50 feet into the air by these swirling winds. And because the visuals were so completely insane, like the physics just looked chaotic and cartoonish, a ton of people online instantly called it out as a digital illusion. People were saying, oh, it's a camera trick, or it's a movie stunt, or no way, it's definitely AI-generated garbage designed to farm clicks. But here's the crazy part. It was completely 100% real. The guy tumbling through the sky in that clip is a 50-year-old e-rickshaw driver named Nanhe Mian, and his eyewitness account is just harrowing. He talked about seeing the winds pick up and grabbing onto a heavy rope tied to the shed, thinking, his body weight would help anchor the metal down. Well, actually, scratch that. It did the exact opposite. A 100-kilometer-per-hour gust hit that shed like a giant sail and just launched him with it. Incredibly, after being carried almost 50 feet up, literally doing a somersault in midair and crashing into a field next door, he survived. He had multiple severe injuries for sure, including a fractured arm and leg, but he lived to tell the tale and prove that this unbelievable viral clip was actually a terrifying brush with death. Okay, let's take a breath and pivot to something a little lighter, because we definitely need it. We're moving from a reality that looked impossibly fake to an illusion that looks totally mundanely real. And man, it is a brilliant piece of internet wordplay, cash withdrawal. This was coined by some very amused folks online, and it smoothly mashes up the Hindi word for hair, cash, with your standard ATM banking lingo. It's a hilarious bilingual pun, so naturally it spread like wildfire. But what actually sparks this viral joke? So picture this. You're in the town of Danapur, near Patna. A property owner decides to rent out an old State Bank of India ATM kiosk to a local barber. But in a true stroke of lazy genius, they just left all the exterior banking stuff completely untouched. The heavy blue metal panels, the thick glass doors, the big official SBI sign, it's all still sitting right there on the street. Imagine being a random person walking by, desperately needing to grab some cash. You push through those heavy doors, fully expecting an ATM, and instead, you're greeted by the sound of scissors, big salon mirrors, and a barber asking how you want your beard trimmed. It's a total masterpiece of jugaad, that clever makeshift problem solving that accidentally created this flawless, hilarious physical illusion. The internet lovingly dubbed it the State Barbers of India. So you see the paradox here, right? It perfectly sums up the bizarre reality of our digital feeds today. On side A, we've got the UP storm and the flying man, an event so wild, so seemingly impossible that millions of people swore it was fake, but it was actually a tragic reality. Then, over on side B, we have the Bihar ATM salon, a spot that looks totally real, boring, and legitimate from the sidewalk, but is actually a harmless, funny trick playing on our expectations. It really makes you think, if our own eyes can deceive us this easily with physical stuff captured on camera, what happens when the information itself is literally fabricated from scratch? And that brings us straight to the hard data. To really wrap our heads around actual digital fiction, we're going to look at this fascinating study called Social Media Fake News in India, published by a researcher at Jahangirnagar University. To get a solid look at the issue, they meticulously pulled and analyzed 419 distinct pieces of Indian online fake news. And these weren't just random tweets. They were carefully gathered from a major professional fact-checking website whose whole job is debunking viral myths. By looking at a sample size this big, the researchers wanted to map out exactly what kinds of lies are being cooked up, what themes they use to go viral, and most importantly, where the deception actually comes from. Now, this thematic breakdown is where things get really interesting. If I asked you to guess the #1 theme for fake news, you'd probably say politics or elections, right? Well, the data shows that health actually dominated by a massive margin. But why health? Context is everything here. This data was pulled between November 2019 and April 2020. As the COVID-19 pandemic started sweeping across India, a country already dealing with healthcare infrastructure challenges and a very anxious public, that actors completely capitalized on that fear. A staggering 96.49% of the health-related fake news in this study was directly tied to the virus. We're talking fake cures, totally made-up statistics, and rumors specifically engineered to cause panic. Right behind health came religion, politics, crime, and entertainment. So where is all this engineered panic coming from? Look at this split. It's wild. When they traced the origins of those 419 fake news items, the researchers found that a massive 87.4% came directly from online media. We're talking about the unregulated Wild West of the internet. Frantic messages forwarded into giant WhatsApp family groups, highly sensationalized Facebook posts, and completely unverified YouTube channels pretending to be real news desks. In stark contrast, only 12.6% of the fake news came from mainstream media outlets. To put that into perspective, it perfectly highlights the massive, largely unchecked role that social platforms play in rapidly churning out and algorithmically pushing digital fiction. Which leaves us asking, why is this happening in India on such an unprecedented scale? Well, the research points to a few compounding factors that basically create a perfect storm. First off, you have skyrocketing internet penetration. Thanks to dirt cheap data, India now has well over 376 million active social media users. And with that explosive growth comes a massive wave of users coming online for the very first time. Millions of people who simply haven't had the chance to develop the digital literacy needed to spot a manipulated image or question a forwarded text. Add to that how incredibly easy it is to alter digital archives, like taking a photo from a 2015 earthquake in another country and claiming it happened yesterday in your local town. And finally, the legal and tech frameworks we have right now make it ridiculously hard to actually track down and stop these anonymous fake news creators. So I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought. When your daily feed is this constant, churning mix of deadly, unbelievable reality, like the Uttar Pradesh storms, viral physical illusions like that barbershop ATM, and engineered statistical fiction pumped out by unregulated online media, how do you actively verify what you consume? It's a massive challenge we're all facing every single time we unlock our phones. I really hope this explainer has given you a more structured, analytical way to think about the media you're digesting every day. Keep questioning what you see, always look for the context, and hey, as always, thank you so much for focusing your time with us.